What's up, everyone? Today we have this Exmark commercial 30-inch mower that the owner says the blades will work, but just really, it doesn't really do much when it's in tall or thicker grass. Normal, taking an inch off, it's not a problem. But once it gets all wet, which right now it's September in the Northwest, that means there's always a little bit of dew on the grass. And these people work early, so it's always going to be a little wet, especially when they go. So that's a problem for them. And yeah, so what we need to do is we need to see what's causing it. I have two ideas. One, there is a belt that goes from the crank to the pulley, and then that engages everything. Well, in the meantime, in order to keep it so it's not always running, there's also a lever that puts tension on said belt. And they put tension on that by using a cable. So, one, either that cable became stretched, maybe it slipped out of adjustment, or that belt is fried. So, we're going to take a look and see what we have here. What we need to do is we need to take off this bar. There are 4 half-inch nuts we need to remove, and then this whole thing will come off. And then there are 4 10 millimeter bolts that have been removed. One right there, here, and right there. So I'm going to do that. That part's boring, and then we can take this cover off. 2 good tips for you. One, when you're taking these off, put the nuts back on. They love to find, different homes that are far away from each other for the support bar, or the bar that prevents you from bashing in the engine, however you want to look at it. And the second one is you can remove this without having to remove these, because this can be a real pain. So what you do need to do, though, is you need to get over this little lip that's over here. Once you do, you can go ahead bring it over like so. There we are. And once you have it off, everything comes right out. So you don't even have to remove everything. That will save you some time. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at everything. It's not going to be easy to see, and hopefully this light isn't horrible. That is the adjustment right there, and that pulls in that idler pulley, and then it will put tension on that belt. Now if you look at this spot, especially right here, this belt has seen better days. So it's not, let me rephrase. You could loosen that 10 millimeter, pull the cable back to the left, and it would be fine. However, it's not a good idea. That belt is looking pretty sad. I think I'm gonna call the owner and ask if he just wants me to tighten it, or if he wants a belt replaced, because that belt is pretty cheap, and to be honest, it's a better repair, and it's going to last longer. What this is going to do, this is what you would do if you need to use it today and you don't really care about tomorrow, or if you just need to use it for like 1 or 2 more times. But I digress. Well, let's go ahead and give him a call and see what he says. So, against my judgment, or against my advice, he says to tighten it up. He needs to use it tomorrow, and he'll go pick up a belt, and then he'll bring it back once he's done. He asked me if I thought it would last another couple days. I told him I think it would, but it's obviously not a guarantee. Hopefully everything is okay to see, but basically what we're going to do is we just need to loosen this. Careful, there is a exhaust shield. It's right above your hand. It loves to get you. Now what you do need to be careful of, this is a steel bolt and an aluminum deck part. It's not really even a deck, it's just a deck part. And if it's super rusty. You'll just snap that head right off, and this job becomes a lot harder. In addition to that, you do not want to at all over tighten this. And I'm going to show you something too, but anyway, point being, we're going to move this a little bit more out, and then we go ahead and we tighten it. It doesn't take a whole lot, it just takes enough to get everything adjusted. Like I said, we don't need to over tighten it, we don't need to strip it out, because yet again, a whole lot bigger of a job. But I think I'm going to go ahead and pull on it. I'm going to put a clamp, and we're going to look at the tension of that belt. Clamp is in place. Now, that's pretty tight. I don't see that being too much of a problem. So I think we're good to go there. What we'll do is put everything back on. While I was in here, whenever you take a cover off, you want to look at this timing belt. Kind of look at the general condition of it. It's dirty, but isn't bad. Not too concerned over it, so we're not going to worry about that one. If it was cracking, this would be a time to remove it, and I have videos on that. But I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and put the top back on, and then we will continue forward. On a side note, I recently had to purchase this piece. Now, if you look at it, this is the deck. This little lip right here actually is a separate aluminum piece. So, deck, aluminum. So, that piece is separate. That's the part that actually holds on the motor, and then that gets bolted onto the deck. On newer revisions, these posts are actually not posts. They are a separate attachment. So I think they had a lot of issues with these stripping out. I have issues, or had issues with that one that we just got done talking about. And I have a video on it, but basically you have to remove the whole motor or engine, and then you end up having to aluminum weld it, and then drill it out and fill it back in with, or drill it out, put new threads in there. You could helicoil coil it, I guess, or whatever you want to do. It's a giant pain. No matter what you end up doing, I prefer welding it just because it's a more permanent repair. But yeah, so I think they kind of realized that was a fault, and they replaced it. I guess the previous person that worked on this decided that 4 bolts was too many. So they only elected to install 2. Which actually, to make this a little easier on ourselves, we're going to remove one because one's kind of sticking up through the plastic. Hopefully we can. There we go. But we're going to put this back on, and putting it on isn't too bad in comparison to taking it off. It's pretty straightforward. But you put in this side, and then you put this side in. There's a little lip that's right here. You have to go over it, and then square it up. Make sure the cable is in its little slot that it needs to be in. Otherwise, when you screw it down, you're going to put a lot of pressure on the sleeve of the cable, and that's never good. That's a good way of kind of making sure that you have rust problems in your future with the cable. Okay, now if I were that other bolt, that would be right here. There we go. You also have to be careful, like I said, aluminum, don't over tighten it. And putting the bar back on isn't all that difficult, but you do have to be careful of how you install it. Let me show you. On here, there are square holes. On the bar, there are round holes. Now, just like your kindergarten teacher always try to tell you, do you put a square anything in a round slot? No. So let's all channel our inner kindergarten teacher. Bolt with square, I don't even know what that would be, part of the head. In first through round. Probably help if we put it on right. Once you're there, you can go ahead and put that on finger tight. Go on the other side, same thing. Finger tight. Because you never want to start, especially these I found, with a impact or drill or anything. These aren't exactly the strongest of bolts, and considering that they are special for this machine, trying to find a replacement is not impossible, but it's not going to be cheap either. So don't do that. But the benefit of having that square part is you can do this. Press on the bolt, make sure it's kind of flush. Boom, done. It's like one of those small little touches that you don't even think will make a big difference, but they do. No wrench needed, just a socket in your hands. Isn't that nice? We will give it a pull, see what happens. Now obviously before it did run, and it also did move the blades. The big difference is the wet grass. It's like 85 degrees right now. I have no wet grass, and the dude's coming in about an hour. So all that seems normal. Yes, of course. It's like, why is it so heavy? The blades are on. Never start it like that, especially when you are not on grass. Now, obviously this isn't the best of ideas. What you can also do is you can over tighten it. And if you do, that little arm that pulls, what the cable pulls on, will start to shake and bounce. And then you'll end up getting a lot of vibration and eventually damage it. In the meantime, you'll hear it hit the bottom of the deck. But should be pretty good. Everything seems to be normal. Like I said, he's going to bring it back to me here shortly. So I'm not too worried about the belt. And hopefully it works out. And if anything, it was not his fault. But if you need this repair, very easy. If you need it immediately, or you don't have time for the part, or the part's unavailable and you need to use it, this can buy you a few extra mowings. Go ahead and leave you at that. Follow me on Instagram at smallengine101. If you like what you see, put a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. If you need any personalized help, consider becoming a member. That is a perk, and I'll be happy to help out. Have a good night.